There are nights that pass quietly, like soft footsteps on a long hallway. And then there are nights that change everything without asking for permission. This story begins on one of those quiet nights, inside a very big house that felt lonely even with all its lights on. The Blackwood mansion was known for its tall gates and silent rooms. People in the city whispered about it. They said an alpha billionaire lived there, strong and cold, with a heart locked tighter than his iron doors. His name was Victor Blackwood, and he ruled his world with rules, time, and silence. But even the strongest alpha could not silence a crying child. It was just past midnight when the sound echoed through the halls. Soft at first, then louder. A baby's cry, tired and lonely, bouncing off the marble walls. Most of the staff were asleep. The night guard stayed outside. And Victor Blackwood sat alone in his office, staring at papers he had read too many times. He heard the cry and frowned. His son Noah had woken again. Victor stood, ready to call for help, when something unexpected happened. The crying stopped. The sudden quiet felt strange. Victor paused. The house was never this kind. Curious and slightly uneasy, he stepped into the hallway and followed the silence toward the nursery. The door was not fully closed. Inside, the room glowed with soft light. And there, sitting gently in the rocking chair, was someone Victor did not expect to see. It was Leo Hart, the newest maid in the mansion. Leo was an omega, small and quiet, known for keeping his head down and doing his work without complaint. He cleaned, folded, and listened. That was all Victor thought he knew about him. But now, Leo held baby Noah close, feeding him calmly, whispering soft words meant only for a child who needed comfort more than rules. Noah slept peacefully. Leo did not notice Victor at first. His face looked tired but peaceful. Not afraid. Not sneaky. Just kind. Victor had never seen anyone look at his son that way. The alpha froze in the doorway. Many thoughts rushed through his mind: anger, shock, confusion. This was his home. His child. No one had permission for this. And yet, the baby was calm. Victor cleared his throat. Leo looked up and froze. His eyes widened. His hands trembled slightly, but he did not drop the child. Carefully he stood and bowed his head. "I'm sorry, sir," Leo said quickly, his voice low but steady. He was crying and no one came. "I didn't want to wake the whole house." Victor said nothing. The silence stretched. Leo's heart raced. He had broken a rule. In this house, rules were everything. He expected to be fired. Maybe worse. "I'll leave," Leo added. "Please don't be angry. I just wanted him to sleep." Victor looked at his son. Noah's tiny hand gripped Leo's sleeve, refusing to let go. Something inside Victor shifted. He remembered the night Noah was born. The loss that followed. The empty space that never healed. He had money, power, respect, but no warmth in this house. Not until this moment. "Stay," Victor said at last. Leo blinked. "Sir?" "Put him in the crib," Victor said. Slowly. Leo obeyed. Noah stirred but did not cry. Victor watched every movement. Leo was careful. Gentle. Like someone who knew what he was doing. When Leo stepped back, Victor spoke again. "How did you know how to calm him?" Leo hesitated. I have taken care of babies before," he said softly. "I know what it's like to feel alone." Victor studied him. The words were simple but they carried weight. "You broke protocol," Victor said. Leo nodded. "Yes, sir." "But you helped my son," Victor continued. The room felt warmer now, as if the house itself was listening. "I will not punish you," Victor said. "Instead, I want to make you an offer." Leo looked up, confused. "From tonight on," Victor said, "you will stay close to Noah. You will help care for him. And you will answer only to me." Leo's breath caught. This was not what he expected. "Yes, sir," he whispered. As Leo left the room, Victor stayed behind, watching his son sleep. For the first time in a long while, the mansion did not feel so empty. And somewhere in the quiet walls, fate began to move. This was only the beginning. Morning did not rush into the Blackwood mansion. It arrived slowly, carefully, like it was unsure whether it was welcome. Sunlight slipped through tall windows and rested on polished floors that had seen many footsteps but very little warmth. Leo Hart woke early as always. He sat up on his small bed in the staff quarters, his heart still beating fast from the memory of the night before. It felt unreal, like something he had dreamed. The alpha billionaire standing in the nursery. The silence. The offer. "You will answer only to me." Leo pressed a hand to his chest and breathed out slowly. He had lived his whole life being careful. Careful with words. Careful with trust. Careful with hope. And yet, in one quiet night, Everything had shifted. When Leo stepped into the hallway, the house was already awake. Staff members moved quickly, whispering as they worked. But something was different. Eyes followed Leo. Not with anger, but with surprise. Mrs. Bell, the head housekeeper, stopped him near the stairs. "Leo," she said, adjusting her glasses. "Mr. Blackwood wants to see you. Now." Leo's stomach tightened. "Yes, ma'am." He followed her to the main office, the biggest room in the house. The doors opened quietly and Leo stepped inside. Victor Blackwood stood by the window, his back straight, his presence filling the room without effort. He did not turn right away. "Close the door," Victor said. Leo did. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Victor turned and looked directly at him. His eyes were sharp but not cold like before. "You slept?" Victor asked. Leo blinked. "Yes, sir." "Good," Victor said. "You will need rest." That single sentence confused Leo more than anything else. Victor walked to his desk and picked up a thin folder. "I do not make decisions lightly," he said. "And I do not repeat myself. What I offer you now is not charity." He placed the folder on the desk and pushed it forward. "You will be Noah's personal caretaker," Victor continued. "You will live in the East Wing, closer to the nursery. Your duties as a maid will be reduced. Your pay will increase." Leo stared at the folder but did not touch it. "Why?" he asked softly. Victor paused. Alphas were not used to being questioned. But he did not react with anger. "Because my son trusts you," Victor said. "And because last night I saw something rare." Leo's hands trembled. "Sir, I don't want trouble. I don't want people to think." "I don't care what people think," Victor interrupted. "This is my house." The words were firm but not cruel. Leo swallowed. "And if I say no?" Victor studied him. "Then you will return to your old duties. And the house will go back to being quiet. Too quiet." Leo understood what he meant. Noah would cry again. And no one would come in time. "I'll do it," Leo said at last. Victor nodded once. "Good." Later that morning, Leo stood in the nursery again, this time in daylight. Noah lay awake, kicking softly, his eyes bright. When he saw Leo, his face lit up and a small laugh escaped his lips. Leo smiled without thinking. That was when he felt it. A presence. Someone leaned against the open door, watching with clear interest. "Well," a cheerful voice said, "I was told the house finally learned how to smile." Leo turned. The man at the door was tall, with messy dark hair and eyes full of energy. His alpha scent was strong, wild, and completely different from Victor's controlled calm. "I'm Kai Storm," the man said, grinning. "And you must be the Omega everyone's whispering about." Leo stiffened. Before he could respond, Victor's voice cut in from behind. "Kai," Victor said coolly. "You're early." "Couldn't wait," Kai replied. His eyes never left Leo. "Seems I arrived at the right time." The air shifted. Two alphas. One room. One Omega standing in between. Leo felt it immediately, the tension sharp and heavy. These two did not belong on the same ground. "Kai is a business partner," Victor said. "He will be staying for some time." "Lucky me," Kai said lightly. "Lucky all of us." Leo lowered his gaze, suddenly unsure of where he stood. Victor placed a firm hand on the crib. "Leo's role here is decided." Kai raised an eyebrow. "Is it?" Victor's eyes narrowed. "Yes." The smile on Kai's face did not fade, but something serious flashed behind his eyes. "Well then," Kai said, straightening. "Looks like things just got interesting." Leo felt a strange pull in his chest. He did not understand it yet. He only knew one thing. The quiet life he once knew was gone. The mansion had changed. And so had his place in it. The Blackwood mansion had always followed one rule. Everything moved by Victor Blackwood's order. The clocks, the staff, even the silence obeyed him. But the day Kai Storm arrived, the house began to bend in ways no one expected. Leo felt it before anyone said it out loud. As he walked through the East Wing with Noah in his arms, whispers followed him like soft shadows. Some were curious, some were doubtful, and some were sharp enough to hurt. Change always made people uncomfortable, especially in a place where nothing ever changed. Kai Storm made no effort to blend in. He laughed too loudly at breakfast. He spoke to staff like they were equals. He leaned against walls that were meant to be respected. And every time Leo entered a room, Kai noticed. Victor noticed that Kai noticed. That was the problem. Victor watched from a distance, his face calm, his thoughts not. He told himself he was only being careful. Leo was an Omega under his roof. Protection was his duty. That was all. But when Kai crouched beside Leo in the garden that afternoon, Smiling as Noah reached for his finger, something unpleasant stirred in Victor's chest. "He likes you," Kai said easily. "Kids know who's real." Leo smiled shyly. "He's just friendly." Kai chuckled. "That too." From the balcony above, Victor's grip tightened on the railing. Later that evening, Victor called Leo into his office. "You are settling in?" Victor asked. "Yes, sir," Leo answered. Victor nodded. "Kai Storm is unpredictable. Keep your distance." Leo hesitated. "He's been kind." Victor's eyes sharpened. "Kindness can hide many things." Leo bowed his head. "I understand." But the truth was, Leo didn't understand at all. Kai was loud where Victor was quiet. Warm where Victor was distant. And yet, neither scared Leo. What scared him was how safe he felt around both of them, and how unfamiliar that feeling was. That night, after Noah was asleep, Leo sat alone in the nursery. The moonlight painted soft shapes on the walls, and the quiet pressed in gently. Quiet always brought memories. Leo remembered another house. Smaller. Louder. He remembered trusting words that turned into lies. Promises that broke him piece by piece. He remembered being left alone when he needed someone the most. That was betrayal. He clenched his hands. He had promised himself never to be that weak again. A knock broke his thoughts. Kai stepped in, hands raised slightly. "Relax. I come in peace." Leo blinked. "You shouldn't be here." Kai shrugged. "Couldn't sleep. This place feels like it's holding its breath." Leo looked away. "You should go." Kai studied him for a moment, then softened his voice. "You don't trust easily, do you?" Leo said nothing. "That's okay," Kai continued. "I don't either." For a moment they simply stood there. No pressure. No commands. Just quiet understanding. From the hallway Victor watched. He didn't mean to. He told himself he was checking on Noah. But when he saw Kai standing so close to Leo, something inside him snapped. "Kai," Victor said sharply. "Leave." Kai turned slowly. "Didn't know I needed permission to breathe." "In my house you do," Victor replied. The air grew heavy. Leo stepped forward. "Please don't fight." Both alphas froze. Victor looked at Leo, surprised. No one ever stopped him mid-command. Kai smiled slightly. "See? He doesn't want war." Victor exhaled slowly. "This ends now." Kai raised his hands. "For tonight." As Kai left, he glanced back at Leo. "We'll talk again." The door closed. Silence returned, but it was different now. Thick. Uncomfortable. Victor finally spoke. "You should not let him get close." Leo looked up. "Why?" Victor paused. He had no answer that sounded right. "Because," he said at last, "not everyone who smiles means well." Leo nodded, but his heart felt heavy. That night, Leo dreamed of standing between two storms, one cold and controlled, the other wild and loud. Both reached for him. Both promised safety. And behind them, shadows waited patiently. Morning would come soon. And with it, choices Leo wasn't ready to make. The house had begun to choose sides. And soon so would hearts. Some memories sleep lightly. They wait for the smallest sound, the softest crack, and then they wake up louder than before. For Leo Hart, the Blackwood mansion was quiet on the outside, but inside him, old memories were beginning to stir. The trouble started with a letter. It arrived one afternoon, slipped quietly onto the long table in the staff hall. No name on the front. No seal. Just thin paper that felt heavier than it should have. Leo knew it was for him the moment he touched it. His hands grew cold. His chest tightened. The past had a way of recognizing him first. He did not open it right away. Instead, he finished feeding Noah, humming softly as the baby played with his fingers. Noah's laughter grounded him. It reminded Leo of the present, of where he was now, not where he had been. But when Noah finally fell asleep, Leo unfolded the letter. "You really thought you could disappear?" That single line was enough. Leo sat down slowly, his knees weak. The words blurred as memories rushed back. Faces he tried to forget, a voice that once promised safety and then took everything instead. Long ago, Leo had trusted someone named Evan Crow. Evan had smiled sweetly. He had spoken gently. He had said he would protect Leo in a world that was hard on Omegas. And Leo, young and hopeful, had believed him. That trust became chains. Evan used Leo's kindness to climb higher. When trouble came, Evan blamed Leo and walked away clean, leaving Leo hurt, alone, and broken. That betrayal taught Leo how dangerous love could be. The letter ended with a warning. "I see you now. Be careful who you belong to." Leo folded the paper with shaking fingers and hid it deep in his pocket. He did not tell Victor. He did not tell Kai. Some pain felt too heavy to share. But pain has a way of leaking out. Victor noticed the change first. Leo smiled less. He flinched at sudden sounds. He checked the doors twice before sleeping. The Omega who once moved softly now moved carefully, like someone expecting to be pushed. Victor watched from afar, troubled. "You're distracted," Victor said one evening as Leo placed Noah into his crib. "I'm fine," Leo replied quickly. Victor did not believe him. That same night Kai noticed too. "You look like you're carrying a storm," Kai said quietly, leaning against the doorway. "And storms don't come from nowhere." Leo forced a smile. "Just tired." Kai didn't push, but his eyes stayed thoughtful. The mansion meanwhile buzzed with quiet talk. Some staff whispered that Leo was getting too close to power. Others said Victor was losing control. And somewhere among them, unseen but patient, Evan Crow had begun to move. Evan arrived as a guest. He wore a polite smile and carried himself like he belonged. He shook Victor's hand firmly, praised the mansion, and spoke of old business ties. Victor, unaware of the past, allowed him to stay. Leo saw Evan across the room and froze. Evan's eyes met his, and lit up. That smile Leo remembered so well returned. Slow. Knowing. "Leo," Evan said later, cornering him in a quiet hallway. "You look better?" Leo's voice barely worked. "Why are you here?" Evan leaned closer. "Because you owe me." The words cut deep. "You think you're safe because two alphas look at you?" Evan whispered. "Careful. Alphas don't share. And when they choose, they destroy what's in the way." Leo backed away, heart racing. From that moment on, things began to break. Small lies spread. A missing document. A misunderstood order. Staff began to doubt Leo. Victor noticed mistakes that didn't feel like Leo's, but doubt is loud when planted carefully. Kai sensed it too. "Someone's poisoning the water," Kai muttered after a tense dinner. "And it's not you." Leo wanted to believe him. Victor called Leo into his office the next day. "Have you spoken to Evan Crow before?" Victor asked calmly. Leo hesitated. That pause was all betrayal needed to grow. "I knew him," Leo said softly. "A long time ago." Victor's jaw tightened. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was afraid," Leo admitted. Victor stood, his alpha presence filling the room. "Fear creates danger." Leo bowed his head. "I never meant to cause trouble." Victor turned away, conflicted. He wanted to trust Leo, but doubt had slipped in, sharp and unwelcome. Outside the office, Evan watched with satisfaction. This was how it started before. Leo returned to the nursery alone, sitting beside Noah's crib. He placed a gentle hand on the rail, breathing slowly. "I won't break again," he whispered to himself. "Not this time. This time he would survive. This time he would heal. And if betrayal came again, he would be ready. Because some hearts don't shatter twice. They harden. And soon, the mansion would learn that Leo Hart was not the same Omega who had once been left behind. There is a moment in every storm when the wind changes. The clouds are still dark, the rain still falls, but something shifts. That was the moment Leo Hart stood in without knowing it, the breaking point before the rise. The days after Victor's questions felt heavier than before. The mansion still shone. The halls were still clean. The clock still ticked on time. But trust, once cracked, made even the strongest walls feel thin. Leo felt eyes on him everywhere. A maid paused too long when Leo passed. A guard double-checked his work. Mrs. Bell sighed more often than usual. No one accused him openly, but doubt lived in the air like dust. Victor watched it all in silence. He told himself he was being careful. An alpha had to protect his house, his child, his name. Still, every time he saw Leo bend over Noah's crib with that same gentle care, his chest tightened. Something was wrong. Kai, on the other hand, had stopped pretending nothing was happening. "They're setting you up," Kai said one evening, his voice low as they stood near the garden doors. "You don't suddenly change like this. Someone's pushing." Leo shook his head. "If I speak, it will only make things worse." Kai frowned. Staying quiet never saved anyone. Leo looked down at his hands. He knew Kai was right. He had stayed quiet once before. It had cost him everything. That night, the trouble finally surfaced. A valuable file went missing from Victor's private office. One that only a few people could access. Leo was one of them. The call came just after dinner. "Leo," Victor said from the doorway, his voice calm but sharp. "Come with me." The walk to the office felt long. Every step echoed too loudly in Leo's ears. Inside, the missing file lay open on the desk. Found but damaged. Pages torn. Information ruined. Victor turned to face Leo. Explain. Leo's heart pounded. I didn't touch it. Your access code was used, Victor said. Leo shook his head. I swear, sir. I would never. Enough, Victor said, raising a hand. The word hit like a wall. For the first time since Leo came to the mansion, Victor's eyes held doubt without warmth. Something inside Leo snapped, not in anger but in pain. I know what this looks like, Leo said quietly. But I have lived this before. I will not beg again. Victor stiffened. I trusted someone once, Leo continued. I stayed quiet to keep peace. I lost everything. I won't do that here. Victor said nothing. Kai, who had followed them in, stepped forward. He's telling the truth. Victor turned sharply. This is not your place. Kai met his gaze without fear. Then make it my place. Because someone is playing you. The room fell silent. Victor's alpha presence pressed down hard, but for the first time, it did not control the space. Leo stood straight. Kai stood firm. And doubt began to turn inward. Victor looked at Leo again, not as a servant, not as an omega, but as a person who was hurting. Leave us, Victor said quietly to Kai. Kai hesitated, then nodded. Don't make the wrong choice, he said before leaving. Leo expected punishment. He expected to be sent away. Instead, Victor sat down heavily. This house has enemies, Victor said slowly. And I have learned the hard way that smiles can lie. Leo swallowed. So have I. Victor looked up. If you are lying to me, everything falls apart. If I am telling the truth, Leo replied, then I need you to stop looking at me like I'm already guilty. The words were simple. Honest. Brave. Victor closed his eyes for a moment. Go, he said. Take the night off. Leo blinked. Sir? Go, Victor repeated. I will look into this myself. Leo bowed and left, his legs weak but his heart strangely lighter. That night, Leo sat alone in his room, staring at the hidden letter from Evan. He took it out, read it again, then did something new. He didn't hide it. He burned it. The flame was small but the feeling was powerful. Across the mansion, Victor dug deeper. Security logs. Timelines. Patterns. And slowly the truth began to show its shape. Evan Crow's name appeared too often. Too clean. Too perfect. Meanwhile, Kai made his own moves, speaking quietly to staff, listening more than talking. By morning the storm had not passed, but the wind had changed. Leo returned to the nursery, lifting Noah into his arms. The baby laughed, pressing his face against Leo's chest. Leo smiled softly. I'm still here, he whispered. And I'm not breaking. From the doorway Victor watched. For the first time he did not see a weak Omega. He saw someone standing at the edge of something stronger. Healing had begun. And so had the path to revenge. Some days feel like normal, but beneath the surface, the water moves faster than anyone realizes. The Blackwood mansion seemed calm in the morning, but Leo Hart could feel it. The tension hiding in the hallways, in the hush of the staff, even in the soft tick of the clocks. Evan Crow had been careful, but even careful people make mistakes. He had been polite, charming, and distant enough to avoid suspicion, until today. Leo was in the nursery, carefully arranging Noah's toys. The baby was laughing, holding a small wooden train, unaware that trouble had quietly stepped closer. Leo's hands were steady, but his mind raced. He had learned long ago that betrayal often wears the sweetest smile. A soft knock echoed on the door. Leo froze for a moment before opening it. Victor Blackwood stepped in, his expression unreadable. Behind him, Kai lingered silently, leaning against the wall, eyes sharp. Leo, Victor began, his voice quieter than usual, I've looked into the file incident. The truth is clear. Leo's heart skipped a beat. Sir. Victor took a step closer. It wasn't you. Relief washed over Leo, quickly followed by the memory of Evan's warning letter. Evan, he's behind this? Victor's jaw tightened. Yes. He has been planting doubt, spreading lies, trying to turn the household against you. And I allowed it to affect my judgment. Kai stepped forward, a smirk tugging at his lips. I told you he wasn't the problem. Someone's been hiding in the shadows. Leo's hands trembled slightly as he held Noah closer. I thought I couldn't trust anyone again. I didn't want to fall for that mistake twice. Victor's eyes softened. You've been brave, Leo. Not everyone could stand so tall when the world is trying to break them. The truth had a strange taste. It was sweet, but it burned at first. Evan had underestimated Leo. He had expected fear, weakness, and silence. Instead, he found strength, honesty, and resilience. By the afternoon, the household had gathered in the main hall. Evan Crow, trying to keep his polite smile, was confronted by Victor. "Enough games, Crow," Victor said firmly. "We know your lies. Your manipulations end here." Evan faltered. I don't know what you mean." Victor's cold alpha stare silenced him instantly. "You think you can destroy what you don't understand? Leo Hart isn't yours to control. And this house, this family, isn't yours to touch." Kai leaned casually, watching the scene unfold. "You underestimated him. Always a mistake." Leo felt a rush of relief, but also something else, something he hadn't expected. The mansion no longer felt heavy. The air felt lighter, freer, almost like it was celebrating victory quietly. Victor finally spoke to Leo alone after Evan was escorted out. "I doubted you. That was my mistake." Leo shook his head. "You trusted me enough to act. That counts." Victor's lips curved faintly. "I will do better. We will do better. For Noah, and for you." Kai appeared at the doorway, leaning casually. "And don't forget me. I'll keep you laughing while they're all serious." Leo laughed softly, a sound that felt like sunlight in the mansion. The fear, the betrayal, the doubt, they were still there but smaller now. For the first time in years, Leo felt a sense of safety, not just for himself but for Noah. He had survived betrayal before. He had healed. And now, with Victor and Kai by his side, he was ready to move forward. Night fell over the mansion and Leo tucked Noah into his crib. The baby's eyes were heavy with sleep, and he reached out one tiny hand toward Leo. "I promise," Leo whispered softly, brushing Noah's hair back. "I'll protect you, no matter what." Victor watched from the doorway, Kai by his side. Two alphas. One omega. One small but fiercely brave boy. The battle was over for now. But the journey, the real journey of trust, healing, and the strange pull of hearts, was just beginning. And in the quiet, Leo finally allowed himself to feel hope. The mansion was no longer just a house. It was a home. The Blackwood mansion had always been a fortress. Tall walls, strict rules, and silent halls kept everything in order. But some truths, once uncovered, are like wind through cracks. They slip in, uninvited, and change everything. Victor Blackwood felt it first. After Evan's betrayal was exposed, Victor thought the weight would lift. He thought that clearing Leo's name would restore balance. But the truth carried another weight, the weight of his own mistakes. Victor had doubted Leo. He had allowed fear to cloud judgment, allowed suspicion to overshadow trust. And though the evidence cleared Leo, the guilt sat heavy in Victor's chest. He found himself pacing the hallway late at night, the faint click of polished floors echoing back at him. Noah slept peacefully in his crib, unaware of the tension simmering in the house. But Victor could not sleep. He was restless, haunted not by danger but by regret. He remembered the first night he had seen Leo feeding his son. That quiet moment in the nursery had been so simple, yet so extraordinary. Yet instead of trusting, he had allowed doubt to creep in. Victor knew he needed to make things right. Meanwhile, Leo felt the mansion breathe differently. The tension of accusation lifted, but the scars of mistrust lingered. He had faced betrayal before. He had survived. But the shadow of doubt always leaves a mark. Kai, sensing the fragile moment, approached Leo in the garden. The moonlight glinted softly on the leaves and the night was still, almost reverent. "You did it," Kai said, smiling gently. "You stood your ground." Leo shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. Victor, he acted. He just didn't realize at first." Kai nodded. "Still you held the line. You didn't break." Leo looked down, the corners of his lips turning upward slightly. I hope things can be different now." "They will be," Kai promised. "You have more strength than you know, Leo." Victor approached from the balcony above, his figure casting a long shadow. "Leo." His voice was low but firm, carrying the weight of unspoken apologies. Leo turned to face him, heart hammering softly. "I was wrong," Victor admitted. "I doubted you. I allowed someone else's lies to shake my trust in you. I regret it." Leo's eyes softened, but he remained cautious. "It hurt," he said simply. "Not because of you alone, but because trust isn't easy for me. Not after what I've lived through." Victor stepped closer. "I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. I want you to know, no one else will make you doubt yourself here. Not me, not Kai, no one." Leo blinked, taking in the sincerity in Victor's gaze. It was not just words. It was a promise. Kai, watching quietly from the side, smirked slightly. "Looks like the alpha is finally learning." Victor ignored him, focusing entirely on Leo. "Will you forgive me?" he asked quietly. Leo hesitated. Forgiveness was not instant. Healing was a slow process. But he nodded gently. I believe you mean it." Victor nodded, relief and determination warring in his expression. "Then we move forward. Together." The mansion felt different that night. Not louder. Not brighter. But calmer. Softer. Safer. Leo tucked Noah into his crib again, brushing a soft curl from his forehead. The baby's small hand reached for him instinctively, as if sensing that the storm had passed. Leo smiled, quietly, finally allowing himself to breathe. The walls of doubt were cracking, the past fading into lessons, and the present finally opening the door for trust. Victor and Kai remained nearby, their presences a steadying force. Two alphas. One omega. One little boy. Each learning how to live together, how to trust, and how to protect what mattered most. And somewhere in the mansion's quiet halls, Leo felt it, a glimmer of hope. A sense that maybe, just maybe, this house could finally be a home not just for him but for everyone who lived within it. The battle of betrayal was over. The war of hearts was only beginning. Some wounds heal slowly. Some take longer than we expect and some leave marks that never fully disappear. But in the Blackwood mansion, the first cracks of healing had begun. And it started with small, quiet moments. Leo Hart had spent the past few days carefully rebuilding his place in the house. The accusations were gone. Evan Crow was out. But the shadows he carried from the past were still heavy on his shoulders. Every smile from Noah, every glance from Victor, every teasing word from Kai reminded him that he had survived, and that he could start trusting again. Victor watched Leo closely, though more gently now. The alpha's presence was still strong, commanding, but it was tempered by care. He did not try to control Leo anymore. Instead, he protected quietly from the background, letting Leo take the lead in small decisions. Like when Noah needed feeding, when the nursery needed reorganizing, and even when the mansion needed small repairs. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky pink, Leo was sitting on the nursery floor playing with Noah. The baby giggled, stacking wooden blocks clumsily but happily. Leo laughed softly, and for a moment he allowed himself to feel safe. "You're getting better at this," a voice said. Leo looked up to see Kai leaning against the doorway, arms crossed but smiling. "Better at what?" Leo asked. "Everything," Kai said. "Taking care of Noah, standing up to problems, even smiling without fear." Leo's cheeks warmed slightly. "I'm learning," he admitted. Kai stepped closer. "Learning is fine, but don't forget you're strong already. You've survived betrayal, lies, fear, and you didn't break. Not once." Leo nodded, feeling the words settle inside him. Strength wasn't about being unafraid. It was about continuing even when fear existed. Victor appeared then, quietly standing at the doorway behind Kai. His expression was unreadable at first, but then softened as he watched Leo. "You've healed more than you realize," Victor said quietly. "Not just for Noah, but for all of us." Leo blinked. "For all of you?" Victor stepped into the room. "Yes. You've reminded us what matters. You've reminded me what trust looks like. And you've reminded Kai, well, him too." Kai laughed softly, a low, warm sound. "I didn't need reminding," he said with a grin. "But I'll take it anyway." The three of them shared a quiet moment, the baby laughing between them. It was not perfect. Some fear remained. Some memories of betrayal would never fully fade. But there was a new rhythm in the house. A rhythm built on care, honesty, and the beginnings of trust. Leo felt a small spark in his chest, a feeling he had not allowed himself in years. He was beginning to hope. Beginning to believe that perhaps love, trust, and safety could exist in the same space. Victor knelt beside him, his hands steady but gentle. "Leo," he said softly, "we cannot undo the past. But we can protect the future. And I promise you, nothing will harm you or Noah while I stand here." Kai leaned closer, placing a hand on Leo's shoulder. "And I promise to stand here too," he said with a grin. "Because someone like you doesn't belong alone in this world." Leo looked from Victor to Kai and then at Noah, who gurgled happily in his arms. The warmth that filled him now was not just from the baby. It was from the sense that, slowly, the cracks of fear were filling with trust and love. He smiled, quietly, with a calm that felt foreign but comforting. I think I can start to heal," Leo whispered. Victor nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Then we'll heal together." Kai chuckled, nudging Leo gently. "See? Even alphas can learn a thing or two from an omega." That night, as Leo tucked Noah into bed, he felt the mansion around him. No longer a house of silence and suspicion, it was starting to feel like a home. The walls carried warmth, the halls carried laughter, and the rooms carried care. The battle with Evan Crow was over. The fear that followed was fading. And for the first time in a long time, Leo Hart allowed himself to imagine a future filled with trust, family, and love. The mansion was not just surviving anymore. It was alive. And so were they all. Revenge is not always loud. Sometimes it creeps quietly, like shadows slipping through cracks, waiting for the perfect moment. And in the Blackwood mansion, that moment had finally come. Evan Crow thought he had won. He thought that by planting lies, creating doubt, and hiding behind charm, he could control Leo, weaken Victor, and take what he wanted. But he had underestimated the strength of the Omega he had once betrayed, and the Alphas who now stood firmly by Leo's side. It started with small moves. Victor quietly reviewed Evan's business dealings, uncovering falsified documents, shady deals, and alliances that were not what they seemed. Every lie Evan had told left a trail, and Victor traced it with careful precision. Kai meanwhile worked in his own way. He spoke to staff, allies, and even outsiders, gathering small details that painted a bigger picture. He had a way of drawing information out of people without them realizing it. Together Victor and Kai formed a quiet storm, controlled, careful, unstoppable. Leo watched from the nursery, keeping an eye on Noah, but his mind was sharper than ever. He remembered the fear, the betrayal, the nights he had spent wondering if he would ever be safe again. And now, for the first time, he felt the fire of justice, not anger but strength. Evan came back to the mansion under the guise of courtesy, a polite smile masking his real intentions. Victor met him in the main hall, calm and unreadable. "Evan," Victor said evenly, "we need to talk about your actions." Evan smiled, the same slow, knowing smile. "I've done nothing wrong, Victor. You misunderstand." Victor stepped closer, his alpha presence unmistakable. "We have proof. Lies, manipulation, and attempts to sabotage this household. You are done here. Permanently." Evan faltered, trying to maintain composure. This is ridiculous. Leo." Leo stepped forward from behind Victor, calm but resolute. "Your power over me ended a long time ago. You have no place here." For the first time, Evan saw the Leo he had once broken. Not weak, not frightened, but strong, unwavering, and surrounded by two alphas who would never allow him to hurt them again. Kai leaned in from the side, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Looks like the game's over, Crow." Victor nodded. "Leave the mansion. Leave our lives. This is your final warning." Evan's shoulders slumped. His plans crumbled in silence. He tried to argue, to twist words, but the truth was everywhere and no one would believe him now. With nothing left, he finally turned and walked away. The mansion exhaled, even though it had been only a day in the timeline of its walls. The air felt lighter. The shadows of doubt lifted. And Leo felt something he had not felt in a long time: freedom. He returned to Noah's room, lifting the baby into his arms. "It's over," he whispered, brushing soft curls from the baby's forehead. Noah giggled, reaching for Leo's face, and the simple laughter filled the space like music. Victor appeared at the doorway, soft but firm. "You did well," he said. "You didn't falter." Leo smiled, a calm warmth spreading through him. "I didn't do it alone." Kai nodded, leaning against the wall. "And you never will." The mansion had survived betrayal, doubt, and fear. And now, with the past behind them, it was ready to thrive. Leo Hart had faced his past. He had healed, fought, and claimed the peace he deserved. And through it all, he had shown that strength is not measured by who controls you, but by who stands with you, and how you rise when the world tries to break you. The mansion was alive. Its walls carried laughter. Its rooms carried warmth. Its hearts carried trust, love, and the quiet thrill of victory. And in that moment, Leo knew something that he would never forget. Justice and love, when paired with courage, are unstoppable. The Blackwood mansion had changed. Not just the walls, the halls, or the furniture, but the hearts within. What was once a place of silence, fear, and rules had grown into something warmer, fuller, and brighter. It had grown into a home. Leo Hart stood in the nursery, holding Noah in his arms. The baby yawned and stretched, his tiny fingers curling around Leo's thumb. For the first time in a long time, Leo felt completely safe. No lies. No betrayal. No fear. Only trust, love, and quiet joy. Victor Blackwood entered, his tall frame filling the doorway. His eyes softened as he watched Leo with Noah. "He's happy," Victor said quietly. "Thanks to you." Leo shook his head. "No, thanks to all of us." Victor stepped closer. I was wrong to doubt you, he admitted. And I promise it won't happen again. I trust you fully now. And I care for you deeply, Leo. Leo's heart thumped softly. Those words were more than he had expected, more than he had allowed himself to hope for. From the doorway, Kai leaned casually, a warm grin on his face. And I care too, he said simply. I'll protect you, make you laugh, and make sure no one ever makes you feel small again. Leo blinked, taking in both alphas. He felt something he hadn't felt in years: belonging, safety, and something deeper, a budding love, steady and sure. Victor extended a hand. Kai stepped closer. And Leo, feeling the strength of the bond between them, reached out. Their hands touched, and for the first time, Leo felt completely grounded. He was not alone. He was never alone again. Noah gurgled happily, reaching for all three of them at once. Leo laughed softly, holding his son close. We're a family, he said quietly. Victor nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. Yes, a real family. Kai chuckled. The best kind. Chaotic sometimes, but full of heart. That night, the mansion was quiet, but it was alive in a new way. The halls felt safe. The rooms felt warm. The walls carried the echoes of laughter, not fear. Leo tucked Noah into bed, kissed his forehead, and whispered, We made it through. Together. Victor and Kai joined him at the door, standing side by side. Their presence was strong, protective, and comforting. 2 alphas, 1 omega, and 1 little boy, each of them finding their place, each of them learning what it truly meant to be family. The past had tried to break them. Betrayal had tested them. Fear had pushed them apart. But in the end, love, trust, and courage had held them together. Leo smiled quietly, finally at peace. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine the future. A future full of laughter, trust, protection, and endless love. A future where the mansion was not a fortress, but a home. Victor placed a hand gently on Leo's shoulder. No matter what comes next, we face it together. Kai added, grinning, and I promise to keep things exciting. Leo laughed softly, feeling the warmth of family all around him. He knew one thing with certainty. No matter the storms, no matter the challenges, they would always stand together. The mansion had grown, and so had their hearts. And for Leo, Victor, Kai, and Noah, life had just begun.